Right. So the Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing a turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, have found you. This is the holy and divine movement founded by Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Islam, Noble Jew Ali. Islam.
Okay. I can't get up. Mom.
Help me out a little bit.
Are you?
Okay, he had the baby, so.
Yeah, I know. Then I seen traffic on the way and I was like, oh man, it's gonna be too bad, but
You got here though.
All right. So I just read the
The oral statement.
oral statement. I'm going to divine winner right now. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. All citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that allude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those who know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply. For they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into the light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens, true American citizens, that stand for the national free government and enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution for the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine back to their own national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by clinging to names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional law by name and principle, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring your fathers and mothers, your days will be lengthened on this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with a constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men free and equal. And if all men are declared free and equal, and if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens of my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God Allah of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people. And this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So, I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in this present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South, and I have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing things that bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work, to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the Prophet, Islam. All right, so I wanted to finish off where we left off dealing with magic, right? Dealing with ceremonial magic. All right. All right. So the original requirements for the office of priest and the rites of magic were as shown as primitive, or i.e. pure mind. In this context, this author, In the Light of Egypt by Thomas H. Burgoyne, when he says primitive, he's talking about pure mind. One that outgrown the lust and passions of youth, of a person of responsibility and experience. So a person that has graduated from the passions of youth and lusts is one of the requirements of the office of priest. We're talking about ceremonial magic, so keep that in mind as we flow through. He graduates to a person, or she graduates to a person of responsibility and experience. And even to this day, the priest of the Roman Church is called by the familiar title, the Father. Now remember, this author's not Moorish, so he's just coming with just how he sees it, right? So he's correlating the word father with the title of a priest, right? And as nature does not alter her laws and requirements in obedience to the moral development of the race. So moral development of humanity is also called evolution, right? Right, evolving. That's natural laws. That's how it's supposed to happen, right? So as nature does not alter her laws and requirements in obedience to the moral development of the race, we may rest assured that the same requirements of 10,000 years ago still hold today. Laws of nature. You may enter your magic circle drawn with prescribed rites, and you may intone your consecrations and chants and your incantations, right? We already know what consecrations and incantations are. Chants of magical rituals, right? So you can do that. You may burn your incense in your brazen center and pose in your flowing priestly robes. Like you wear priestly robes, you can do all that, but that's not necessarily magic. That's what you're getting to, right? You may bear the sacred pinnacles of the spirit upon your breast and wave the magic sword to your four corners of the heavens. Yeah, you may even do more. You may burn the secret sigil of the abjuring spirit and yell your conjurance and exorcisms till you were black in the face, but all in vain, my friend, all in vain. If it will prove nothing but vanity and vexation of spirit, unless the inward self, the soul, interblends with the outer word and contacting by its own dynamic intensity the elemental vibrations of nature. So you have to get in tune with yourself, become one and balanced. Then your magnetism changes. Everybody's magnetic, but you just change what you magnetize to yourself once you whatever's within you.
As within, so without.
So without, right? If I'm angry, everybody's gonna feel it. No matter how much I say I'm happy, you're gonna see it, and something's up with me, right? You can't shake it, right? All right. So the elemental vibrations of nature arouses these spiritual forces to the extent of responding to your call, right? Correspondence, magnetizing, that's responding to your call.
So I would see that spiritual execution of using that power of man, using using exorcism So when in the Christian and Catholic churches, where, you know, the priests are able to do the exorcisms of the demons,
Mhm.
it's not that they have the power of Christ. It's the inner within themselves that they're able to, it's a mind over matter of you just gonna outpower that particular spirit or that energy
Mhm.
in that sense. It's not that it's coming from something, because we all have that same thing within us according to this.
Right.
We have that. If you tuned into that force and spirit, you can remove things.
Quote unquote. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
negative energy.
I know where you get that because you're dealing with demons every day at work and shit. Yeah, but you do.
Capitalize.
But it's being in tune with yourself and knowing, like, 'cause it all goes back to knowing yourself, because what those same demons and energies can latch onto you. So once you have control of your higher and lower self, you know how to move in those entities, you'll know how to put that energy in its place. You know what I'm saying?
It just being in tune. For me, like, if you can change the, you know, your waters inside of you, Allah's already out there. You gotta tune into him, you know, he's already there. So therefore, if you can change your frequency within you, you can tune into what's already there.
That's why, Allah
Allah is there.
is always rooting for you.
Right.
Allah loves you. You know what I'm saying? And you just gotta love him back, 'cause it's always rooting.
Love yourself, and then you tune in. You know, it's like we tune
No matter what
into the
trouble,
love out
whatever,
there.
just remember Allah is on your side.
So,
Yeah.
so we would have all that power that we say that we can have.
Right.
What you're saying there is that we tune into that we have that. It's like a
Yeah.
magic. It's almost like magic.
It
It's
is.
like a magic that we are tuned into, that we have a power.
Well, especially right now, because of the time we in that time where it's like as we think it, right? Because we're in the age of Aquarius now.
Right.
It's here. It's actually here. So all the things that they are afraid of is us thinking that we guys and thinking of how we use those powers.
Mhm.
And that manifestation of us even wanting to do that is sheer will, like we can do it. Like the same way we seeing children now, they doing experiments using their chi. You know what I'm saying? There's a water bottle on the table, making the water bottle fall over with just, you know, thought and just fear, you know what I'm saying? Energy. Because they thinking it. Same with us, we can do the same thing with all of our manifestations. It's just balancing out what we got going on with the daily and shutting that out, and then putting our we don't ever put 100% into something because we're always dealing with the illusions. So when we actually cut that out and then sink back into, we harness it in, we got the magic. But it's here though, that energy is vibrant.
I think we would have naturally had it. Like they had the dark priests really dumb us down.
Right.
To believe that we don't have it. But I think if you just left us alone, like people would just naturally be in tune. Like they know that, so they literally have to work so hard to like dumb us down to this. Like, you know, it's so simple. They make it so complicated. So that's it.
Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? All right. Responding to your call, right? Other people respond to your call, which is i.e. Hermetic principle, just a law of correspondence, right? When this can be done, but not until then, will your magical incantations have any effect upon the voiceless air? Not the priestly robes, nor magic sword, not the incantations, written word, nor mystic circle can produce nature's response to occult rite, but the fire of the inward spirit, the mental realization of each word and mystic sign, combined with the conscious knowledge of your own deific powers. Everybody knows what deific means, right? Deific. So that's, when you look it up, it'll say heavenly or spiritual self, right? Or the higher self. I guess what, you know, in more circles we'll call it the higher self. But you see what a definition comes out. But deific is deific. Knowledge of your own deific powers. This and this only creates nature's true magician. Who and where can such be found? And remember, this is not Circle 7. This is not a Moorish author, prescribed Moorish author. But you once we got the science already, the principles, the whole point is to go to other books for cross-referencing purposes, for teaching purposes, for people that are interested, because you don't want to just have Moorish literature, and that's it. That's cool to have that, but you want to have other stuff that validates the Moorish stuff too. So to show like it's not just some Moorish stuff, this is a universal principle,
Truth is truth.
right?
How do you spell that again?
DEIFIC.
Yeah, make divine.
Make divine, right? So
God
now,
make and save it.
so now put that in context with the sentence: knowledge of your own deific powers, divine powers, sacred powers, right? Yet there are many such upon the earth at this present time, but the present mental condition forbid them from making their identity known. So back to what you're saying with the dark priest. That the present mental conditions of most people are affected by the dark priest, so they're not getting in tune with that deific self, right? They would not be recognized and accepted as true teachers, but reviled and persecuted and dubbed insane. So because of that mental condition, people that do display like they know the light, they're looked at by the masses as, oh, he's crazy. He out to lunch. But he really on point.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
that's their job.
That's the job. Because whoever controls the narrative of the masses controls the reality.
Right.
So I would say the priesthood is dead.
Right. But silently, they are sowing the seed of truth that will spring up and bear fruit where and when least expected. So that's when we go back to, people like Noble Drew Ali, Prophet Muhammad, Yahshua, Confucius. They all spread the truth, hammered it in, even though it got compromised, CIA, FBI. The information coming back around 100 years later. It's still a seed. It's not just dead. You know what I'm saying? It's people still trying to revive the truth. You know what I mean? It become more powerful and powerful, right? Because evil is so active, truth is not lying dormant. The spirit of God, that divine spark of deity within every human soul, never sleeps, never rests. On and upward is his cry. And if you remember, because we've been going through this book for about a couple of years, about 18 months or something like that. And I don't know if y'all remember how it talks about the arc. We want to naturally go like that. And then we'll reach a plateau and go back up. But the whole time, it's like this. The long term is still going up. Micro looks like we're leveling out, but every time we level out, we bounce up higher, right? Bounce forward, take a fall, bounce higher. Take a fall, bounce higher. Or not even take a fall, just kind of level out, idle, or whatever.
I can base that vibration on how my spiritual journey has been over this past year.
Mhm.
Going through the films of my body, being in tune with myself, fasting, doing more fasting, just becoming more spiritually elevated.
Mhm.
And within the past couple of months, I've been having peaks of spiritual enlightenment where I'm like, I'm so in tune with everything, and then I may get on a plateau where my energy is like, why am I in this space? I'm just not in tune with people. I don't want to be around people. I'm like, I'm just in this space. I'm like, where did this energy come from? And then all of a sudden, once I connect back up or do something back and take control of that energy, I feel like I'm elevated even higher.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I conquered that feeling of control
Mhm.
over my spiritual self, my energy, so I can see the plateau that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going on this, like I didn't
Yeah.
see, I'm getting going up to another level.
Yeah.
I had to go through that emotional baggage or whatever.
It's like
Yeah.
relating,
Whatever I had to go through.
like relating to what he was saying earlier too. Like you can't go back to sleep. It's like we just want to learn
Right.
more and
Yeah.
more and more and more. It's like we never really going back to like that dead state of mind.
Right. You can't go
You
back.
know, so
Yeah.
we're always just gonna learn more and more and more. And whereas we do, we rise.
Sometimes you got like a having level of like even then you get the knowledge, you have the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? You got the experience based on you can move forward based on that. Like
Mhm.
it might feel like, it ain't the best right now, but the greatest time, but like at the same time, like you learning, and then when you go up, you know what I'm saying, you know how not to go back down so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying, as you
Mhm.
think it, so deep, you know what I'm saying, so you're on the thought process, as you continue to go down, you raise that vibration, you realize, okay, I made it out of the low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get there, you realize it, okay, so the next, like, troubling issue comes, you automatically go out there like, all right, let me just not even go to that level, let me just continue to stay in mind, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, cause it's a trial, you know what I'm saying, so.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Incline, going
Can't go
up, and it's just a
Can't
hill,
go
you know what I'm
backwards.
saying? It's just a hill, you know, that's what they say.
We ain't
You
going
know,
back.
you take some losses, you know, take some L's, but you know, the L's still make a W, you know what I'm saying? It's still up and down, you know what I'm saying?
And that's called, so if you wanna break it down scientifically, like a catalyst. So you need to meet opposition just to test what you kind of made of,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
because if you're just in the dojo, you're just training, but you never actually get into an actual, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how you know what you made of,
The test.
what you need to improve on. Like,
True.
Yeah, just like Joshua, having all the tests,
yeah,
seeing what he was made of.
Yep.
And, you know, he was winning. He was coming out fighting.
Right, right.
yes,
Yes, yeah, on the test, he's not there.
yeah.
Do a lot of tests, you know, tests.
Here's another scroll.
Yes.
You passed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
The hierophants come out the back. Check. You know, you conquered.
All right. So the grand sublimity of man's conception of at one with the infinite Father, at one with the limitless universe of being, at one with the inheriting all the sacred rights and inalienable prerogatives. That's a law term, inalienable, right?
Right.
Rights that can't be taken away.
No.
Right? Unalienable prerogatives of the infable Adoni. When you look up Adoni, Adonai, it just simply means God in Hebrew. And then when you say infable, Infable, you're just saying something too big to put in words, right? So we put this in context, all the sacred rights and unalienable prerogatives of the infable Adoni, right? Now, the guy within that you can't put in words, that's what you want to unlock, the Adoni. The Adoni of the deathless soul is the only test of man's qualification for the holy office. Pretty clear? As Bowler Lawton has truthfully said, the loving throb of one great human heart will baffle more fiends than the magician's lure. So that's back to that vibration. One single drop of love, essentially, because he's saying, he in his words, he's saying the loving throb of one great human heart will baffle more fiends than all magicians' lure. So back to you can have the robes, you can have all the ornaments, burn all the incense, do all the ritual, whatever all that looks good. But that compared to the heart chakra being activated, somebody that's coming from the heart and looking dirty is more powerful vibrationally than somebody that just looks the part and doesn't have that humanitarian aspect, right? All right.
Yeah.
All right. So it is with the sacral ritual, one single aspirational thought clearly defined outweighs all the priestly trappings that the world has ever seen. The success of all incarnations depend upon a complete unison of voice and mind. Right? When the voice and mind is united, right? So you're thinking before you speak, the vibrations and tensions, right? Voice and mind, the interblend of which produces dynamic intonation. When you look up intonation, you're dealing with tones, right? Frequencies. So the vibration that you give out is direct correlation from what's on your mind.
Mhm.
And what's on your mind before it comes out your mouth,
Mhm.
it's intention of your heart. So before you open your mouth and say something, okay, you can say something cruel, like, whatever, make somebody feel bad. But your heart had made a determination before it came to your throat, before you can meet your ears.
Now, there's a saying say that the heart is essential for the mind to understand itself.
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, heart.
And right back to the lion and the lamb and the divine woman, lion and the lamb.
So in other words, you say once it comes out of your mouth, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it,
Really, that's pretty much it. You can't really.
even if he's thinking.
Here, before and came, that's it.
They say your thoughts have chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the brother, the reason why I mentioned the lion and the lamb, I don't know if you heard that phrase when I was reading the Divine Warning, where the lion and the lamb may rest in yonder hills, because that's a cosmological phrase that he used, expressing Aries and Leo, which are the mind, because the Aries symbolizes the head, and Taurus, the lion, Leo represents the heart. So if he's saying the lion and the lamb shall rest, he's essentially saying the mind and the heart must be balanced when you're making decisions. And then everything on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because if you're thinking something negative and then somebody, might come and just like, boom, hit you with something, you respond to that naturally. Rah, 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 rah. And then all that could be spewed from like negative thoughts, and now your heart got like all that mixed intention with it, you know what I'm saying? So you might not even mean all that shit, but a lot of that shit might be, lower self vibration or however it be, but that's why I gotta be thinking
Balance.
balance, you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have the balance, you know what I mean, you're gonna spiral out of control.
And think about it like this. Think about if you two in your head, too logical,
Mhm.
no compassion, no heart, everything just robotic. Imagine if you two in your heart. Now you're gonna get played, you're gullible.
Yeah.
People gonna try to take advantage of you. Oh, he don't matter. He's 11, yeah. So it gotta be a balance for those reasons,
Yes.
All right. So the intonations, the chords with the inward rhythmic vibrations of the soul. So your vibration, you heal yourself by just doing that on a daily basis. Once this magical dynamic vibration is produced, there immediately springs into being the whole elemental world belonging thereto by correspondence. Right? Correspondence, there we go. Vocalists who hold their audiences spellbound do so by virtue of magical vibrations they produce and are in reality practical, even though unconscious magicians. Right?
Like, this singer, they have such a voice, and their tone vibration is mesmerizing.
Mesmerizing.
Because that singer is just mesmerizing. All artists don't have that gift.
Right.
But the ones that have that gift, they're actually mesmerizing us with their music, with their voice.
The vibration.
Tone, not that vibration.
See, and that's another thing. We use vibration to heal ourselves. Same thing with the sound bowls, same thing with the bells, all that, the ringing of the church bells. That was a vibrational thing. Like even the cathedrals, like the pipes. The pipes are like they call them symphonies.
Something like that, because they call them symphonies.
Symphonies, yeah, like symphonies. But the harmonic frequencies that they give out are healing. That's why in certain cathedrals they don't play them. But as you see, if you go overseas and stuff like that, you see the big churches and stuff with them. They have those in there, and even in like Thailand, China, and stuff like that, they'll have bells where the people come. You might put forth your affirmations, same way that we do with affirmations, and then hit the bell a few times, ding, 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 and then that energy just vibrate off of that. You spoke it into existence, and then you know what I'm saying, that vibration thing. And same with the pyramids down in Tenochtitlan.
Yeah.
Like
The clap.
and it clap and come back. I believe that when it was a whole bunch of us in that area, we'd have ceremonies.
Yeah,
That vibration is what caused everything to move, certain, elements like rocks and stones and stuff like that, so,
Mhm.
yeah, but it all is vibration, so.
Mom does that too. The babies, humming, rallying, all that singing, that
Mhm.
vibration to mother, that's the most
Mhm.
soothing.
Yes, very soothing.
And
And-
I can see that concept of how we were so in the church, I'm raised in the church, Baptist church, the music.
Gets you.
How it always gets you.
It gets you.
It's the rhythm of the soul and the rhythm of the church.
I go to church right now and be like.
Vibration, song, and dance, but they had us during the spell.
Yeah,
Right.
But when the
Yeah.
spell for the music.
Yeah.
that trance, say, hey, come on out of that pocket. Oh, Jesus.
Yes, that's.
Yeah.
Sound and vibration, you know, and think about it, those people come in there, like a lot of the people,
Yeah.
these different kind of people, they already lost, and they come there once a week. You know what I'm saying? And then they get that vibrational feeling where it feels good. And then that feeling is already naturally in them, but they can't get it because they ain't seeking it nowhere else but into that church. So when you walking through the doors, you're walking through the womb. You go sit in the pews, the aisles, those are the ribs. You know what I'm saying? And who at the top? The pastor at the top. So it's your ribs, and you coming through the womb, through the doors, go sit in the pews, and then go listen to the
What
one
is
at
the
the top.
pastor lead? The sheep.
Outside of yourself, because we thinking that that's we idol worship that, because we thinking the pastor is the one with all of the knowledge, but yet he ain't telling us to do the research, you know what I'm saying?
It's a concert. It's a concert.
Nah, yeah, just pay them tithes though. Yeah, Chop that check on time.
Mhm.
That's really it.
Yeah, so the magicians.
Yeah. It's all magicians.
So the same power to a degree lies in the voice when speaking, right? Not only singing, but just speaking,
Mhm.
right? And I like to always take it back to the pop-ups that I've been doing lately. It's a direct correlation from the sales that you get with eye contact, projection of your voice, and doing like this. I got books, I got soap, I got bracelets, that counts versus you just sitting there doing like this. You're not gonna get no sale, nothing's gonna happen. Nobody gonna come transact no business with you, right? They're coming because of the person, the energy they feel, right? All right, all right. The graceful movement of the hand, like I just said, right? The hand and hand when obeying the will. So your hand movement gotta match your own will, and you can tell that, like when you're in synchronicity, people can tell, like when you're flowing, it's like you tap in, like are you on the road? Like it's that's the energy. Like that's a case in point. You know what I mean?
Rhythm.
The rhythm. You can tell when somebody flowing versus when they kind of not feeling too good. They kind of it's a difference, right? All right. So in the eyes ray forth the same dynamic power and becomes magical in its effects. The eye. So we're talking about hand gestures, eye contact, the eye ray. I got this. And the voice. So you got the eye contact, the hand movement, and your tone of voice. The Trinity going on to perfect your Trinity. You're dealing with people, right? So these powers are exercised and MC. That's for MC, right? Microphone controller, that you're a magician. You're controlling the crowd based on how you're master of ceremonies, right?
Crowd.
Yeah. Or the
Uh,
orchestra leader.
yeah, the orchestra leader.
You got the
Yeah.
magic wand.
Yep. Mhm.
But even like in sales, that's their way,
Uh-huh.
motion creates emotion. You know, like, got all this phone calling that's been created.
Mhm.
Yeah, custom.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movement. All right. So these powers are exercised more upon the physical plane, and no better illustration can be given than the power man is able to exert over the animal when gazing in his eyes. Right? You look at an animal,
Mhm.
they're gonna either get bashful or something, or something. It's gonna excite something within them.
That example in a lot of movies show how And the European has the power, not us. Especially when it's coming from a wicked
Right, right,
side of himself.
right,
So he's gonna naturally cause the animal to flee. Because
right.
they're like, oh, I don't like your energy.
Crazy part about that is it's the same way they did it, the missionary coming in with the script of, oh yeah, God, you know what I'm saying, using Jesus, you know, their God, and our people falling for it, like, oh, you know what I'm saying, you got something better than us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We fall for the illusion.
The illusion.
Yeah, no, illusion. The eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah. All right, so here, as well as in incantations and invocations, within the power of the will lies the success or failure. So it's all on you, right? At this point, it may be asked, what then is the use of magical rites of symbols and priestly robes? We answer, in themselves alone, nothing. Absolutely nothing, except the facility and convenience we derive from system, order, and code of procedure. So that's back to, like, you know, we went to visit a temple, right? They may have dogmatic practices, but they have order, which is half the part. You want,
Good.
but you still need that because you just want both. You want the substance as well, right? Because that is magical, the order.
Right.
You know, new people come in, they see the order versus not seeing order. Mentally, it's like, oh, okay. What's that? But even though the people with the order don't got substance, they still might be winning because of the order. And that's back to, like what he said, the priest and it looks good. You know what I mean? People fall for that. People fall for the it looks shiny, and that's enough sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? But if you can do both, the better.
Right.
If you can have that and substance, now you're cooking now.
Because that's gonna be us. We can't be had there.
Yeah. You know, but just in general, just you know, just
The flower with the fragrance.
right. We answer in themselves alone, right? Absolutely nothing. All right, code and procedure. I got that. So to this may be added the mental force and enthusiasm of soul, which such things inspire, just as men and women may feel more dignified, artistic, and refined when dressed in accordance with their ideas. So the way you feeling good, you get a haircut, whatever the case may be, got a fresh shave, wearing something nice. Mentally, you're feeling better than you did, right? I'm feeling good today, right? So it's just an assistance or an octave, call it an octave, to help amplify what you're already thinking. But you already got to have a good thought process already, and good, you know, pure heartedness already. Then you throw on the guard. Now you're feeling like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? You just more confidence in getting the message across or whatnot. Yeah, you know. So, so may the average priest feel more priestly, holy, and consequently more powerful mentally when he got the garb on, right? When arrayed in the robes of his office and surrounded by the outward symbols of his power and function. But in themselves alone there is not, nor can there be any real virtue. The same may be said of the incantations. The words used in their composition are the hieroglyphics of mystical ideas, or just symbols. So he's using hieroglyphs in the context of back to the exterior, what you're wearing. Those are just hieroglyphs. Those are just signs, right?
Sigils.
Yeah. Therefore, the correct pronunciation of the words or the grammatical construction of a sentence is nothing if the underlying idea is conveyed in the mind and responded by the soul. So as long as you comprehend it, you comprehend it. You don't have to be this polished speaker. You could just get a message across, and it's a universal message. It resonates with the people. It resonates with the people. Once again, you don't have to. It's not a certain look of how presented, right? Will and motive form the basis of true magic. Will and motive form the basis of true magic. One word more, and we have completed our subject. Magic swords, rings, pentacles, and wands may and often are powerful magical agents in the hands of the magician by virtue of power or charm that is invested within them when properly prepared. But apart from such preparation by those who know, they are as powerless and unintelligible incarnations. So it's back to the intent, right? Charm, enthusiasm goes out the window if the intent is not a humanitarian. All the foregoing are aids. All those are aids, right? The clothing, intellectually polished. All those are aids. That's a plus, right? But if the physical manifestations of magical forces be required, they must always be present. The necessary vital magnetic pabulum, P-A-B-U-L-U-M, pabulum. And when you look up pabulum, it's going to say essentially an intellectual food for thought. It's not going to say how I'm saying it, but it's going, that's a summary. You look up P-A-B-U-L-U-M, pabulum. So let's put this in context now. There must always be present the necessary vital magnetic intellectual food for thought, by means of which phenomena are made to transpire. And in every case, to be successful, the assistance of a good natural magician or seer is necessary. For without this essential element, the whole art and its higher aspects become abortive. And that concludes the chapter on ceremonial magic. Any thoughts on that segment? Will we transition to the next piece?
Will and motive the foundation of magic.
True magic. All right, so I wanted to transition to the Democratic Party and its creation. And once again, it's just for, this is the dojo. We're gonna be out and about, turban fez, meet people that are gonna come up to you just because you got your turban and fez on, and ask you questions, right? So you wanna be able to just hit them with information however you see fit, but you wanna know the information, right? So 9 times out of 10, they're gonna hit you with, who do you vote for? Or do you vote, or, the Democratic Party? And you're gonna explain why you don't, right? So I'm gonna go into some info to help you explain the origin of political parties, right? And then you just put this together with all the other lessons that you know, right? The Democratic Party. And most of our people are Democratic as well. That's why I say that. Most of melanated people, they prescribe to being Democrats. They feel that's the party for the minority, right?
That started by the
Right. So that's another reason most our people think they're Democratic. Democrats.
You got a piece of paper and stand out the box. You
I have a pen.
I got an extra pen.
Yeah.
All right. So we got the Ku Klux Klan, published online by Cambridge University Press, March 5th, 2016. Let me see. Okay. All right. So formed in 1865 as a secret lodge by former Confederates in Pulaski, Tennessee, the Invisible Empire, or Ku Klux Klan, known as KKK, has been and remains committed to quote unquote white supremacy in America. And I'm saying quote unquote because we know white is a status dealing with the people of the land. So Klansmen, beside other diehard groups, violently resisted Reconstruction. Still defending the South, they fought Union Army occupation, Republican governments. When I say Republican, I don't mean Democrat and Republican Party. I mean Republican form of government, which signifies the people of the same nationality of the land, or the mayors, or the police, or you know what I mean? So in Venezuela, for example, the police are Venezuelan. In Korea, the police are Korean. The prime minister, etc., president, they're Korean. That's a sign of a Republican form of government, when the people of the land are the only officials. There's not foreigners. So that's a republic, not a democracy. A democracy is a two-party system that has Republican and the Democratic Party. That's all democracy, right? So two separate forms of government.
Out here in America, the police are European.
Right, right. So that's a sign of that is not a republic. All right, republic governments. And blacks' freedom. Donning hoods and using secret titles, they took on an oath to defend Christianity, the Constitution, and the quote unquote right race, especially their women's purity. Loyal to the Democratic Party, the Klan enlisted men and women from all classes, targeting Union leagues, which are the Freedmen's Bureau. When you look up the Freedmen's Bureau, you'll see that happened in the Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's administration, and it was supposed to be a gateway for people that knew nationality. It would be considered freemen, right? Mm-hmm. So the KKK was attacking that. They targeted things of that nature. Freedom political clubs. Night riders harassed and often killed, quote unquote, black and Republican voters and office holders, burned, quote unquote, black churches and schools, intimidated teachers, and stole elections. In 1868 elections, alongside Knights of the White Camellia, which is, we're talking about fraternities. You got Knights of Malta, you got the Shriners, you got these are just a Masonic group. Yeah. Knights Templar, the Knights of the White Camellia. They murdered 1,000 quote unquote black and white Republicans in Louisiana alone. After its investigation, Congress passed the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, also known as the Act of 1871, just in general. When you look it up, it's probably just gonna say the Act of 1871, which the United States became Walmart, a corporation only. It became Walmart.
Also, the last year was the last time we had an official council of courts.
Yeah. Or the Freedmen's Bureau was shut.
They relinquished jurisdiction.
That was actually in 1956 by Eisenhower, which you're talking about, the relinquishment of jurisdiction. Yeah.
Courts.
No, 1871 is just the United States became a corporation.
Act of Congress.
Yeah.
From Philadelphia to
Washington, D.C.
without the approval of Congress. That's when they changed pretty much the Constitution or to the Constitution of that's right. And that's the corporation.
That's right. Yeah.
But undermanned Union garrisons rarely stopped the Klan's plunder. Its terrorism during the election of 1876 hastened Reconstruction's end. Between 1877 and 1910, the KKK fueled Democrats' push to enable one-party rule and Jim Crow. So now we see the KKK is behind the Democratic Party, and the KKK was the string or the puppet master behind the Democratic Party to enforce the Jim Crow or put that on the ballot, you know, Jim Crow is necessary. They were lobbyists. The KKK was lobbyists, right, for the Democratic Party. A coalition of Democrats, Klansmen, red shirts, rifle clubs, and white leagues targeted freedmen and their allies, utilizing ballot fraud, intimidation, and murder. Some 1,751 blacks were lynched in southern and border states. 1882 through 1900 as quote unquote black and white farmer alliances and populist parties coalesced for reform. So you had what you call, I guess, the poor white trash, what they call them, or, you know, they were linking up with quote unquote blacks, right? Because they didn't really like the transition that was going on. They showed that in that movie too, Judas and the Black Messiah, when what was the head of the Black Panther Party at the time? What was his brother name?
No,
Fred Hampton.
Fred.
Fred Hampton, if you notice, he was doing a tour. He got all the Boricua, or the Puerto Rican, quote unquote. He linked up with them. He went to the poor whites, linked up with them. He went to the El Rukins. He went to the El Rukin. In the movie, they call the Lords. But it was him talking to the El Rukins, which was some Moors in Chicago. He was like, man, we need to link up. And then, you sure then the dude was like, you sure we need to link up? I got this note saying you called me a job turkey. And he was like, brother, that's the CIA. Didn't you see how they did El Hada? We said Malcolm X. Did you see how they did Malcolm X? They trying to play us. Right, so by him going around trying to unify with like-minded people with the same oppressor, you can look that up. That was called the Rainbow Coalition. Because Fred Hampton went to, even though they're saying that the brown, he linked up with the brown and the black and the white. But we know it's all them is misnomers. But in essence, he linked up and united with the people. You know what I mean? And if he would have stayed alive a little longer, he would have linked up with the Moors, right? That's why when they took Fred Hampton down, the whole movement got watered down. Now they just promote Huey. They just promote, they just throw Huey in your face. That's all they show is Huey. They don't really promote Fred Hampton. They don't promote him because he was really trying to get some stuff done. All right. Klan people promoted quote unquote white racism in the 20th century. Early on, they enlisted members with The Birth of the Nation, 1915, a film glorifying the Klan's bloody defeat of Reconstruction. By mid-1920s, the second KKK claimed several million members in more than a dozen states. Affiliates were strong in the Midwest, being more anti-Catholic and anti-immigrant in that area than the South. State and local clans frequently attacked progressives prior to the Civil Rights Act, 1957, which ensured the right to vote. So this is March 10th. And keep in mind, a lot of things that were said as far as how the KKK, they were for the Constitution. So no more Science temples was getting attacked. These are all black churches getting attacked. People that knew thyself wasn't a threat. The KKK wasn't messing with them. All stateless. Playing the Negro game and trying to, we should be accepted by the United States. We had our own businesses and all that. But we should be able to go to the same bathroom with them. It shouldn't be we go to a separate bathroom. We need to be together. Why? And because of that, the KKK went with that. Why?
Okay, so and then based on what the KKK instructed on basically like
Chlorine. They called it chlorine. Chlorine.
So and then it was just like, and the thing about it was to segregate the South, like people in the South. Like, of course, they're the ones who had it worse. You know what I mean? Because they believe in that they Negroes. They thinking that we shift over here. They don't have no identity like the same. It's nothing like this. So it's like they also they lost.
Yep. All right. So this is March 10th, 2018. The Democratic Party and the KKK The Democratic Party and the KKK, in spite of the fact that Democratic pioneers would later would later property Ku Klux Klan viciousness to poor Southern whites. So now the Ku Klux Klan is not only attacking stateless people, but their own quote unquote whites that weren't down, like the poor white trash, basically, quote unquote.
Trailer.
Yeah, KKK was attacking them too. The association's participation crossed class lines from little agriculturalists and workers to growers, legal counselors, dealers, doctors, and clergymen. In the districts where most Klan movement occurred, neighborhood law authorization authorities either had a place with the Klan or declined to make a move against it, which means they were in bed, right? So the Democratic Party, police was in bed. And even the individuals who captured charged Klansmen thought that it was hard to discover witnesses willing to affirm against them. Other driving white nationals in the South declined to revolt against the gathering activities, giving them inferred endorsement. After 1870, Republican state governments in the South swung to Congress for help, bringing about the Section of 3 Enforcement Acts, the most grounded of which was the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. Out of the blue, the Ku Klux Klan Act assigned certain wrongdoings submitted by people as government offenses, including intrigues to deny quote unquote natives of the privileges to hold office. Right, so we know what they mean by natives. They're trying to allude to the fact that no Indians, but we know that covers a broad scope, right, of the people originally here couldn't hold office, serve on juries, and they appreciate the equivalent insurance of law. So the law didn't apply to them because, right, we got the 14th Amendment now. For people that don't know who they are, they got naturalized. So now you're a ward, and when you're a ward, a foreigner has say so, and your inalienable rights are no more. Because you don't know the rights, you don't know the rights in the first place. All right. The demonstration approved the president to suspend the writ habeas corpus and capture blamed people without charge. So when you saying suspending the habeas corpus, because the habeas corpus is Article 1 of the Constitution. That's where it says you have the right. Everybody know what a habeas corpus is? So habeas, yeah, release the body. So if you or somebody else is in jail, and that's the whole imperativeness of having an organization with solidarity, because if one of our members or citizens gets arrested, you want to be able to do a writ of habeas corpus with certain principles of law on why the body needs to be released, right? All right. This development of government authority, which Ulysses S. Concede, uses S. Grant, concede instantly utilized as part of 1871 to squash Klan movement in the South Carolina and different zones of the South, offended Democrats and even frightened numerous Republicans. From the mid-1870s forward, racial oppression progressively reasserted its hang on the South as help for Reconstruction wound down. Before the finish of 1876, the whole South was under Democratic control by and by. Democratic Party's history of slavery, Jim Crow, and KKK. Former President Obama once said, "The legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, discrimination, and almost every institution of our lives, that cast a long shadow. And that's still part of our DNA that's passed on. We are not cured of," unquote. At the time of the Civil War, all slaveholders were Democrats. At the time of the Civil War, all slaveholders were Democrats. This is stuff we want to, right? We're talking to our people in the field that's proud Democrats.
Anthony Johnson.
You know what I mean?
First slave.
in a, in a scholarly way, just let them know, like, brother, sister,
Hello.
at the time of the Civil War, all slaveholders were Democrats, or at least one has found an exception at this time, and the Democratic Party was the party of Jim Crow. Right, demo, and that's back to etymology. Anything with demo in the front, you're dealing with to destabilize, destroy, demolish. You know what I mean? Yeah. Deduct, divide.
Take away.
Yeah, they the de facto.
Opposite of unity, right?
Right.
Democracy. Democrat. All right. One of the rationales that some Democrats have for slavery was that blacks were unable to take care of themselves. So slavery was actually good for them. This was the rationale of the Democrat.
The crazy part is during some of those times, like some of the slaves were actually treated fairly well.
Very well.
It switched and certain positions of power started to change. A lot of our people started selling out because it started switching. They started going against the Republicans harder and harder because they seen that, oh wait, y'all still want to be niggas? All right, well, I'm gonna put all y'all under this 14th Amendment citizenship. Just gonna start running a rampage on all y'all. Take all y'all land.
Yep. And when you say 14th Amendment, you essentially fall victim to that Jim Crow, Christian Black Codes, the Buck Act.
It's
There's a couple of them.
child.
Yeah. But they're all like pseudo realms of law for people that are not operating in their national capacity. They're laws that go for stateless people. Stateless people got laws that go for them. Okay. Believe it or not, many Democrats try to pin their own party's racist past on Republicans. However, this is not supported by any evidence. It is true that many white Southern Democrats have switched parties from Democrat to Republican. The Republican Party has never championed slavery or Jim Crow laws. The Democratic Party did. I think that's enough. I'm gonna go a couple more pages. Why the Democrats started the KKK? Oh, you didn't know that? This is by Tim Nair. These are actually publications. This particular one is a publication in a Georgia newspaper by Tim Nair, neighbor. And these are, I'll be honest, telling the truth. Yeah. History of the Democrats and the KKK. The original targets of the Ku Klux Klan were Republicans who, both quote unquote black and white, according to a new television program and book, which described how Democrats started the KKK for decades, harassed the GOP. Everybody know what GOP is? Or GDP? Domestic product. General domestic product is basically like if you're industrious and you're making money here, that would be a domestic GDP. If you're making money and you're sending it out,
national,
that GDP is over there now. It's not over here. So like, for instance, Ford, GM used to be in Detroit. These places that manufacture cars, they're no more. They're overseas now.
Right.
That's an example of the GDP not here no more. It's over there. Even though you might be still making money from your overseas investments, but the GDP is over there. That makes sense?
Everything's made in China.
Right. So the GDP is in China.
Right.
General domestic product. That's what GDP means. All your products.
GOP at first.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GDP. GDP. Yeah. No, cause it was a typo. It was a typo.
Okay,
Sometime I gotta
Yeah, but when you said GD at the end of that.
write GDP.
Yeah.
I heard.
okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, 'cause
all stuck,
I was
right?
reading GO.
What is it?
It says GOP,
Yeah.
but it was a typo.
That's what I was trying to think too. I was like,
I heard
what was he saying about that? I'm bracing for it too. GOP.
I heard that somewhere.
Operations.
Odd operator.
GOP, yeah, you know.
All right, but not by nature.
God
Um,
operator.
I'm thinking about GOD.
I know. So I can get. that part.
All right, so further, the first Grand Wizard of the KKK. Y'all know what a Grand Wizard is?
That's like a sheet.
He was one of them too. He was there.
It's like a sheet.
No, not right now. But he was one later in the game. Matter of fact, yeah, he was one of the original Democrats. Yeah. Further, the first Grand Wizard of the KKK was honored at the 1868 Democratic National Convention. So that sentence, that needs to be digested and expressed.
Hmm.
The first Grand Wizard of the KKK was honored at the 1868 Democratic National Convention. Huh? Yeah.
Pretty much right after.
Yeah, same year, right?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, but it. In order.
Yep. And then, right, because 1871 was what? 3 years after Lincoln, right? So you see the Reconstruction happening quick. It was moving fast.
They was moving
I had to knock
fast.
Lincoln off quick.
Yes.
Yeah. The last republic.
Last.
And
There's no.
he was a more, he looked like you,
They're
bro.
all fakes.
That's crazy.
And-
He looked like you. Kind of beard,
Abraham Lincoln.
a little darker, but a little wild ass, little crazy hair.
The more.
Yeah,
More.
He's not.
So it was a picture was falsified.
Oh, yeah.
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 All the
Everything about.
Mhm. Everything.
You're the.
Yeah.
pictures that are in black and white, they be looking really like, damn. But if you think about it, you're like, okay, yeah, I just turned the high resolution up, but
That's why
he's
he's not.
light-handed, so that's why I turned it up to the light, like literally right here on him. So it looked like, oh, he more pale. than- You know what I'm saying? You seem super white, but you're not. You know, he's melanated. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to hide that. That part.
Copper.
That's why I thought.
You know him too.
And he's looking the other way.
And he
He's
looks.
looking the opposite way. Because he turned his- Yeah.
Keep that.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Just the opposite of what they wanted, so, you know,
yeah, right.
our,
Look at that. He look-
yeah,
Wow, crazy. All of them look this way, he looked that way.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, he's always looking the other way.
He's in Mexico too, you know, or Tijuana. You ever go to Tijuana and go on the circle? They have a big, huge statue and he has to change his throat.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
huge. At first, I thought it was. It was.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think I'll stop right there. I wanted just to get some bullet points. So you can have, everybody can kind of have as tools when you're talking to people.
Mhm.
Cause they're gonna ask you all type of questions. And sometimes they may be historical, you know, lawful, sequence of events. How did things go down? How did we get to this place? And, you know, you might be able to tell them in a way that, level-headed, you know,
They can see it.
they can see it.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts? Any questions? About anything? Miscellaneous thoughts?
That's right.
Oh, there were a lot of dark. I was stuck on Hitler in dark. Like, I was like, oh god, that one threw me for a loop. And I don't know why.
He was a German nationalist. He was about nationality, and the people he was putting in the ovens was the bankers and people trying to infiltrate and low vibrate the area. There was a cancer. There was a cancer to the area.
That's why he said Germans
For Germany.
for Germany, for Germany's for German.
Mhm,
If you're not German, you gotta go.
mhm.
And they didn't go, so they went to the party. You gotta go home, that's. Got their mom's kid and go back home to their own, and their home,
Mhm.
you're suffering, you gotta get through. That's why I know how to do it, the treaty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 That one freaked me out though.
Yes.
This him right here, this is Adolf Hitler. Though. Bro.
Like, nah.
It's all whitewashed.
It's so-
There's so much history that's
The
whitewashed.
truth is still stranger than fiction.
They did a good number on us.
Oh,
They did that for something.
Right.
The best way to do it is go to a different, like,
Did that to us?
country, whatever, nation, continent,
What
right?
picture is that?
But that physically, they have to see. And they'll tell you a whole different thing to what they're saying over here. Right. Over here is Joe-ism.
Say that again?
Separate the mind, but keep the body, because the body's the word, don't let them think.
You said Joe?
Joe-ism, so, what's that, Joe-ism, or, Jim
Crow.
Jim
Jim Crow. Yep.
right. And it's called also the Willie Lynch letter of 1724.
And Rockefeller, he said, I want a nation full of workers, not thinkers.
that's General Education Board.
1902.
Yeah. The philosophy. And that's John D. Rockefeller and T.D. Gates.
I want to give the grand sheet, what I brought today, so you can get another out to you. But it has,
Everything.
I told you all this,
Mhm.
and I did like 487,000 years. I
He's been working hard.
this is just a fraction.
Appreciate it.
But when you like step into this order, right, you
Mhm.
see the order because it has to have a date.
Yeah.
Then when you see the date, you'll see what they're doing and how they're stepping about.
Mhm.
That makes sense? Because if you go to school and you look at how they teach people, they're always 19, 16, 14, BC.
All over the
They're
place.
jump around so much to confuse you, but if you have it in a straight line, you will see the pattern and how they're always in the war, treaties, wars, treaties.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
makes sense? United States is always in a war, ever since they set foot on this continent. Look it up.
Mhm.
They'll probably say, oh, we won, we did it.
Yeah.
Right. Still at it.
Yeah. And that's the holidays that we celebrate,
Celebrate,
not
right.
even
All
knowing
of us.
their victories, but our loss. So that's why we don't try to celebrate none of their holidays because all you're basically is celebrating the fall of our ancestors. Like, wow.
This past Thanksgiving, I was disgusted with stuff. I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
Like, what's so wrong? Like,
And even how we fast to kind of like, reboot our body, and they're over there feeding them the feast. And it's like, we're not supposed to be doing that, like, so it's just everything, when you add it all up, it's like, wow, we've been really living this
It's all because of the Pope.
lie in the matrix.
is the Pope is in?
The United States is owned by the Pope.
Mhm.
Pope is the most quote unquote powerful man in the world, so whatever he says, people jump to do. So the Pope says, go kill these people and take their lands. Guess what these Christianized people are gonna go do? Oh, we're gonna be saved.
Yeah, he runs the United States.
People all in the name of God.
Many
was funny.
things, man.
Right, just like you're saying, it's a new world over here, but Genesis chapter 10, 1-32 tells you how God defined it. That's public law 97-280. So the
Even,
word of God is law, so if it's law, Genesis 10:32.
yeah,
So it's like, if they're Christians, right, and they're supposed to have read their Bible, right? How come they don't know that this is our land? It tells you straight out on the papers. It's ancient documents. So if it's ancient and they're honoring their God, why aren't they following their God? Because they're pagans. They're really pagans. The pagans don't believe in God because he's not so-called white. He's best way to figure it out is like the world was one language. What language was that? What was not that? Because law is Latin. It's not English. It's Latin. They're not Latin. They're Europeans. Who made it? Latin, Latino, Moors,
more Latin.
When they
dark people,
tribunals,
made
they
the
use
law,
all Latin.
not tell people, Slav, slave, first slaves. Yeah.
Even if you watch, the Borgia on Netflix, it'll tell you like,
The Borgias,
yeah.
it's coming out. When you start reading and knowing history and law, right, when you start watching TV,
Oh,
it
yeah.
pops out right at you. If you don't know this, it just goes right over your head. You're gaining thing, which is circus and breads.
Yeah, that Pope in 19, what is it? What was it? The Pope in 1492, yeah. He's all over the place. And I don't know who, somebody, Jordan, somebody wrote the thing, but he was like, yeah, he had this Pope all over the place. I mean, killing, poisoning, like, I mean, it was crazy.
You're gonna be happy. But then, it's not for me to spoon feed you, do your own, you have it, do your own. But I'll take my word.
You should learn less words how you do that.
Hello.
The email I got was,
That's the same thing, it's just that, remember I have two phones, right? So one's on my computer and somehow I'm not connected to it, so I was sending it to because it's for some reason. And I was trying to get in my new phone, so I'm still working on my computer, sitting on trying to figure out how to do it. What I did, I just put it on the disk drive, right? It's basically the same thing, it's just had a little more. It was so large, I was like, when do I stop?
Right.
To release it to the world. That makes sense, but I just keep going and going and going and going and going. It's like, I need to stop sometime. I also need somebody to help me proofread it and all that, make sure I'm not saying something stupid or hey, this wrong.
Right.
Because I don't,
now that was like dealing with like Egyptian Book from the Dead type stuff, right? Like,
that's the book of the dead.
what you sent, what you emailed me.
No, this is part of the history and law what I said here. It's called Key, which is, before it was called Earth, it's called Key.
But it's talking about it in the sense of like, the reason I'm saying Egyptian Book of the Dead, a lot of the terminology that you're using, I read in that book.
Right.
So if somebody, a common man were to read it, you're forcing them to look up terms, basically.
Yep, right, 'cause those words in there, people don't know.
Right, okay.
Right, so you have to have an etymology online. It's a free app, it tells you on there the words and
Yeah.
history of the origin of the words, it's free. So if you don't comprehend a word right there, just go look it up and you'll have a better view of your head, what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's just, the first part, it's the history is done in two parts, one from the gods and one from the humans. Because the Old Testament, it's gods, really. The New Testament is humans rewriting all that stuff, right? So that's why you'll see the division, but it's still the same timeline, like 1-12, 1-12. Yeah, it's just God's version, what he's saying, and this is what man's version of what God was saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Divine
I'm
law.
gonna email it to everybody. Send me a current text. Cause you just communicate with me through Instagram, right? Yeah. You just shoot me a text on my phone. I give you my number right now. Cause I wanna send you,
So I didn't want to take it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanna send you some past videos on stuff that we didn't necessarily talk about today. So you can kind of take notes and stuff. 714 406 7697.
BRGIX.
Abortion.
Just hit me how to spell your name and stuff. Your title.
Oh, that would be tell his daughter and all. Even his wife.
Bush.
His name's Rodrigo Borgia, he's, our zealot,